Now, I know you see Justin Bieber's face and you might be turned off immediately. Like, what are we even talking about Justin for? Bear with me. What we are talking about today is men's. I also have a very important clip that we're going to watch later in the video. So stick around for that. So fans are concerned about Justin Bieber after he posted selfies of himself crying. So you see the tears running down his face. You see he is hurt for some reason. What do you see at the bottom? You see over 200 reactions, most of them being people laughing at him for crying and posting selfies. And you, even as a man, may say, ha ha ha, this is silly. That's what you may say. Let's get into some of these reactions or comments. One comment says he missed Diddy and it's 14 laughs. The other comments say ain't nothing wrong with him. These are the shares. So they just completely write it off. Ain't nothing wrong with him, like he just faking the tears. It's the drugs these folks be on. That's another comment. Baby, baby, ooh, on a lay depression. I guess that's like, I don't know if he's speaking African or whatever that is. Him miss his Diddy. For those of you who aren't aware, Diddy had a bunch of sexual allegations and he had the lawsuit come out and everybody is saying Diddy is gay and Diddy been running around fucking people. But Diddy is somebody who has made Justin Bieber uncomfortable on video when he was younger. So people are making a joke out of that. And as far as another comment, you have, boy, you better stop crying about that hoe. The fuck wrong with you? Now, as guys, we know how this is. Like, we know how guys are towards other guys. Guys don't give a fuck, right? We don't give a fuck how another dude feel. If a dude get too emotional, it's like, bruh, tighten the fuck up. That's what we tell each other. That's the culture and shit like that. But the point of me showing all of this and showing this all to you is when men express their emotions, they are not taken seriously. If you look at this, if you look at the Michael Jordan crying face, what you call it, meme that they got out there. If you look at when Tyrese was crying about his daughter and stuff like that, I want you to notice that those two are black males. And even then, Justin Bieber, if you look at this is all black people in these comments because it's on Rap General and stuff like that. So, black people on the internet, they just make fun of everything as far as any time a man that's in alignment with hip hop culture or black culture or anything like that show emotion. And this is the thing, when you look at those memes that I mentioned, the Tyrese, what more do you want from me? And the crying Jordan meme, nobody crying gets memed more than those two memes. It's not even close. Don't even be disingenuous about that. But the thing about this is it transcends the internet and memes and things of that nature. When a guy is with his girl and stuff like that and he begins to cry or vent, the woman really despises that. The woman really is disgusted and repulsed by that. She loses attraction, et cetera, et cetera. We see it everywhere. We see it all the time. The women who try to give you this therapy stuff as far as like, oh, yeah, I'll be my guy's shoulder to cry on and stuff like that or anything like that. You'll hear a lot of them say that. But then they'll say, well, you can't just keep complaining now. You got to do something at some point. You got to get it together. You got to... Guys can't just be vulnerable. That's just what it is, man. And even then, we all know, I don't got to go too deep, man. If you become vulnerable and then begin to give information to your girl about how you feel about certain things, it gets weaponized against you. I've said this in another video. Too many men have had this happen all over the planet for it to be just some American stuff or just, oh, this only happens in my city or, oh, this is just my experience. It's happened to too many men and it's such a popular narrative all around the fucking globe. So that's just the nature of women. Now, I'm going to play a clip in a moment, but I just had to illustrate this so that you understand it's not just memes. It's not just the internet. It's not just the laugh emojis and things like that. When we get into real life, when we're in real life situations and men try to show emotion and things like that, when men show emotion, other men shit on them in whatever way they do. Whether it's joking about it, whether it's saying, bruh, get your balls out of your purse, whatever, whatever. When it comes to women, they punish you for it and they use it against you and they lose attraction. That's just what it is. So those are the real things. Now, this clip I'm about to play, it is from this doesn't even have over 100 views. It really stumbled. I'm going to put a link to the full video in the description. Small YouTuber, but I seen this and I didn't like it when I seen it. But when you see stuff like what I mentioned, it's kind of real. Let's watch the clip.
Coming into manhood, being a man, and realizing what's important, what's not important, what works, what doesn't work, what's helpful and what is not helpful at all. You know, you go through this path. You go through this struggle of throwing things against the wall. You know what I mean? And, you know, definitely if you're a husband, if you're a leader of the home, and you go through trials and tribulations, you're testing things and seeing what works and what doesn't work. Well, I figured one thing out, and that's pretty consistent. And I'm just now utilizing this idea of, you know, emotions are useless. As a man, as a husband, as a supposed leader, as someone who supposed to solve problems and be calm and cool at all times, emotions are pointless. There's no room for emotions as a man. None at all. There's no room for emotions, and there's no room for feelings at all. Period. You have to put, as a man, you have to put your feelings and your emotions in your pocket and keep it there. Don't take it out. Or maybe take it out when it's absolutely needed. Absolutely needed. When you have somebody at their breaking point, and they maybe need a little emotion from you, give it to them. Give it to them and then put it right back in your pocket. And don't take it. Okay? Because feelings and emotions will cause you to do, say, and act in ways that is unbecoming of you. And second of all, it further puts a burden on you. It stresses you out. Because as a man, nobody cares about your mental health. Nobody cares about how you're feeling. Nobody cares about what's going on in your head. It doesn't matter. There's other things that are more important. Other people are more important. Other situations are more important than how you feel, what you're going through, You know, you got too much stuff going on, right? And nobody's going to really care or put an emphasis on helping you with what you got going on other than yourself. So, as a man, I really, at this point, am not taking my emotions out of my pocket, my feelings. You know, it's business. At all times, it's business.
Now, this truly is the burden of men. And he said a lot, but I'm going to highlight a couple things that he said. One of the things that he said as far as why you shouldn't show emotion is because it is unbecoming. It is unbecoming. I have multiple definitions of unbecoming, so we have clarity as far as the word that he used. So unbecoming means not flattering. It also means, as far as behavior, which is specifically what he was referring to, not fitting or appropriate, unseemly. And as far as the second definition, what does your unbecoming mean? As in, you are unbecoming. If you describe a person's behavior or remarks as unbecoming, you mean that they are shocking and unsuitable for that person. Austin displayed conduct unbecoming of an officer and a gentleman. This term is synonymous with unseemly, inappropriate, unfit, offensive, etc. So think about that. This man has had to hollow himself out. And one of the reasons that, as far as the two reasons that he gave, was because it is unbecoming. It doesn't look good on him. I'm not going to lie. I usually say we not going to go deep, but we going deep today. We going deep on this topic. So I want to take you to someplace real quick. Imagine you were at home. Imagine it's an off day, so you don't got to see nobody. Imagine you don't plan on having no company over or going out or nothing. What are you going to wear? You're going to wear comfortable clothes in your own home. You're going to wear what feels good. You are not going to think about what other people think about what you are wearing because you were in your own home. When it's time to go to a job interview or something like that, yeah, you might put on the fancy clothes and stuff like that because at that moment, at that time, it is time to impress. It is time to make an impression. Even when you're going to a party, you probably want to get chicks, and even then, you just want to look presentable and stuff like that. So you're going to wear some of your better clothes for that occasion. But at the crib, you don't care what you put on. You're going to wear whatever is most comfortable to you. Those other clothes in those other situations, I guarantee you they're not the most comfortable clothes, but you're wearing them to make an impression. They're not more comfortable than the sweatpants and a baggy ass t-shirt and a hoodie that you wear in your home when you're just doing like when it's just a regular day and you don't plan on leaving the crib and nobody's coming over. Now, just to give the last piece of clarity on this, if you were to wear what you wear in your home as far as your comfort clothes to a job interview, that would be unbecoming of somebody that is trying to become an employee at a specific company that you would have to wear a suit and a tie for. His quote is, "Feelings and emotions will cause you to act in ways that are unbecoming of you." Now, I think for all people, emotional restraint is something that needs to be practiced to a certain extent for certain things, not because it's unbecoming, but because it could make you make a bad decision. For example, if you were angry at a cop and you decide to hit a cop because that's your reaction, that's what your emotions have led you to do, you have to reel those emotions in so you don't do bad things. That's not about being unbecoming. That's about making a bad decision that could cost you your life or your livelihood and things of that nature. So I think there's some necessity to that. But when we talk about your feelings and emotions leading you to do things that are unbecoming, unfit, unattractive, offensive, or whatever the case may be, you have to ask yourself, who finds this behavior unfit? Well, you heard him mention he has family. So your wife will think it's unfit for you to have and express these emotions. Your girlfriend will think it is unfit for a man to be an emotional man. Your kids, they may, kids can be conditioned, but even they may look at you a certain type of way based on the tone you have set, based on the tone society has set, and that's just what it is. And even women that you don't know, even men that you don't know, or even men that are your friends and women that are your associates as far as coworkers and things of that nature, or your girls' friends and things of that nature. So when it comes down to it, this is what it is. It's performative. It's performative. You are doing this to avoid creating a bad perception amongst the people around you. So when you look at the clothes analogy that I mentioned, the connection to that is when you were dealing with anybody as a man, you pretty much have to have a suit on at all times. We don't have the luxury, and this is the burden of men. We don't have the luxury to put on a sweatpants and a baggy ass t-shirt when it comes to our emotions. We don't have the luxury of just being comfortable expressing our emotions. We just don't, because men who do are punished. They are punished by other men. They are punished by women. And that's just what it is. So you hear him saying you got to tuck it in your pocket. You even hear Bill Burr. If you watch Bill Burr, he's talked about this a long time ago. Like a lot of the feelings, if you go watch the jokes he told in one of his later stand-ups about pretty much having to get rid of his dog and stuff like that. Cat said he had to tuck all the emotions down. He has like a whole thing about this, like just tuck those emotions deep down, never let them out. And they're probably going to come out one day. They're probably going to just burst out one day. I remember I told a dude recently, one of my actual friends, that I miss him. One of my other friends laughed me out the fuck, bruh. He laughed at me so crazy. He laughed at me so crazy. You can't even do little shit like that. The friend that I told I miss, he laughed because that's just not the masculine thing to do. That's not on code with some masculinity shit, right? Even if it's true, you can't that's just what it is. You have to move and act a certain way. You know, this performative masculinity shit. I hate to use that term because it's probably a feminist term. I don't know if it's a scientific term. I haven't done any research on it, but you have to do this performative shit as far as what a man is supposed to be so that people can feel like and treat you like you're a masculine individual, so that people don't shit on your masculinity, so people don't shit on your ego, so people don't emasculate you and things like that, and even embarrass you and laugh at you or chastise you and things like that. In his situation, the guy in the video, I'm pretty sure he has a wife or something like that. Showing too much emotion can absolutely destroy the marriage. It absolutely can. Because if she begins to think that he's weak, she will begin to detach. And then, monkey branchy, she will begin to seek another man, etc., etc. Now, this is the second thing he said that I want to address, which is that as a man, nobody cares about your emotions, your feelings, your mental health. We have gotten into this fake era where people like Charlemagne and Joe Budden begin to preach mental health all the time and stuff like that. And Charlemagne, he monetized one of the worst books I've read on anxiety. And yes, I've read multiple books on anxiety. He publishes one of the worst books, and I look at it as a money grab because I didn't get much value from it. But he monetized off of it. So you got a lot of this therapy, man, get in touch with your feelings shit going on. Those guys, I can't say so much Joe Budden. Joe Budden is a therapy advocate, but like Joe Budden he might have got over some traumas and shit, but he hasn't really become a better person because of therapy, man. He's a narcissist. Like, we won't get into that because we're not here for hip hop talk. But when it comes to that, some of the people are monetizing it, and it's just a disingenuous narrative that people are pushing to get money as far as men's mental health. And as far as some black women, I can't speak on all the other races because I've never seen anybody else do this except black women. But as far as some black women, what they will do is how you know they don't give a fuck. There are two things that they will say that are very common phrases that I know you have heard, where they weaponize therapy against men or trauma. The first one is seek therapy. Seek therapy. They are not saying that in a sense where, they really genuinely have a concern and they want the best for you. They say that during disagreements, arguments, disputes, discussions, whatever. When you're saying things that they don't like, they use that as a weapon against you. That is an attack. The second one is, who hurt you? They say that like they are genuinely concerned about how you feel in your relationship. It's very disingenuous, it's covert, it's tongue-in-cheek, but you know exactly what it is when you hear it. And being that these are two popular phrases that these chicks say all the time, when you see them come out and say stuff like, oh man, yeah, he could be a safe space, I could be a safe space for my man, you're full of shit. You're full of shit. Even then, I'll see some chick, I mentioned this already, they'll say their man can vent to them, but not too much, because the truth is they'll begin to get unattracted and then resent him and then think he's weak. But what they say is, you gotta start fixing the problems. You gotta get the solutions. If you were a man and you ever vented, and even if you're a woman listening to this, one of the worst things that can happen while you were expressing yourself during venting to someone is they begin to step in and tell you how to solve the problem you're venting about. Bruh, like, as men, I'm not gonna lie, as men, we are problem solvers. So we're going to have to figure it out regardless anyway. We're going to have to figure it out. But in that moment is not the time to start throwing out solutions and stuff like that. And even then, nobody asks you for solutions. And this is why, I'm not really an advocate for therapy. What I actually do, and I don't care how this sounds, it's real. I talk to myself. I talk through certain things. If you want to be honest, this whole talk therapy era that has came is some Freudian shit. It came from Sigmund Freud, and one of the women came through and just said, "Shut up, just let me talk." And she just talked, she vented, and she felt so much better when she was done doing it. And that's how talk therapy was birthed. My dude, he knows some whole other shit as far as like, he says it's like talking to the ancestors or some shit, some different form of spirituality shit that I don't know, that I'm not gonna get into, but that's something that I do myself. I will actually talk to myself and talk through certain shit. Everybody is not equipped to do this. And I'll be quite frank, a lot of people are idiots. So I really think, some people, yeah, I'm not even going to go further on that idiot point. But when it comes down to it, therapy can be good, I'm sure. But I haven't seen too many people who I look at and like, oh, you're a product of therapy, you're a great person. I haven't seen it. And even then it might have helped them get through their traumas. If people are doing cognitive behavioral therapy or something like that to where they're trying to get over something, there's at least a hurdle there. When it comes to the therapy, the general therapy that a lot of people do, I don't really see the benefit in it from how some of these people are. That's just my personal opinion, but we won't go deep on that. The whole point is that when it comes down to it, these women don't have a really genuine concern, as far as the majority of them that push these narratives and stuff like that. They don't have a real genuine concern about men's mental health. Nonetheless, your actual girl that you're with, your kids don't give a fuck. Your kids is just here, bro. Like, we not even getting into kids or nothing like that. But it's the truth. So when it comes down to it, we really need to regulate our shit ourselves. We need to find ways that we can vent. And venting to the air has definitely worked for me. I don't know if you got to find a space, get in the car, wait till your girl leave the crib. I don't know. You might feel crazy doing it. I don't know. It might not be for you. You might have to have a person sitting in front of you. And the other thing I'm going to go over is how it's crazy, because it's almost like we have to conduct ourselves like we are not human. And we are the only humans that have to do that. Women and children don't. And if you look at how some guys raise their boys, the guys who have a really firm grip on this, the guys who like have really been tucking their emotions in their motherfucking pockets and all that shit for the majority of their lives, they raise they boys real rough. I'm talking about, I've seen these dudes with babies and stuff like that, and they'll do certain things to their baby boys and stuff. They try and get them rough. They try to get them prepared. They try to get that toughness in them. Because at the end of the day, this is the fucked up part. Like we already went over that nobody cares. But this is the other thing. And this is the other reason why what he said is kind of relevant. Because at the end of the day, nobody's coming to save you as a dude. Somebody tried to argue with me about the point that I made as far as like nobody else has gotten the crying shit done to them and stuff like that. And it's true as far as like Michael Jordan and Tyrese and etc. But this is the truth without me having to go deep and stuff like that, because somebody named Lizzo, and that's one of the worst examples that you can give, because you have certain things set in place like anti-fat shaming and stuff like that. When people do things to make women feel bad, there are always people who come in trying to be a shoulder to cry on, trying to console them, no matter. And this is the other thing. Women cry, like how we have to do performative masculinity and we have to tuck our emotions and things like that. We have to come out and put our best selves out there. Guess what women get to do? The same shit that they think that makes us weak. They performatively cry, bruh. Chicks be crying 3 times a week, some of them. It was a thread out there, a social media thread. How many times have you cried this week, women? And chicks was just doing motherfucking Babe Ruth numbers and shit as far as how many times they cried per week. And when you look at it, they can't relate to us at all, because when you look at it, they have more emotional brains in the first place. And when they see a weak man that they have no attachment to, they may feel some empathy. They may feel some disgust. It's a toss up, really, because if you want to keep it real, I don't know if I could keep it this real, but I will anyway. They feel empathy for other marginalized groups. We'll just say that women support damn near any social justice cause. That's just who they are. But with that, they just cry all the time, and they will cry to get what they want, like fucking kids, even though they 38 and stuff like that. They'll just cry. That's what they get to do. So when you just look at the essence of what a woman is, and even just the essence of what a man is, and how innately we want to protect them and things of that nature, and even in how other women will come and coddle to other women and stuff like that, they're frail, they're gentle, they're dainty, they need to be protected. No matter what boss girl type shit these chicks is telling you and pushing, no matter what the fuck you done seen Cyborg or any of these UFC chicks do, man, at their core, at the majority of women's core, they're just soft fucking hostess snack cream fillings. That's what's in there. That's what it is. And when it comes down to it, people are always going to come to their rescue. When it comes to a guy, they don't get that same treatment. I mean, I remember having a debate with somebody, and I said, man, they got treatment, not treatment, but they got homeless centers for people and stuff like that. They have abuse centers for people and stuff like that. But there are abuse centers and homeless shelters and just homes and things like that, strictly for women. Strictly for women. There, I don't know any that are strictly for men. And I think that's what the person in the debate was trying to say. They were trying to say that, oh, there are men only shelters and stuff like that. This is the thing. Even if there are, they are not at the same, there are not as many around the nation. And I guarantee you it's not even close as women only shelters. That's just what it is. Like, let's stop the bullshit. Let's not be disingenuous. That's just what it is. As a society, even with the government assistance and all of that shit, like women are just there to be saved, there to be protected. And I don't have an issue with that. I want to make that clear. I don't have an issue with that. The issue that I have is when it comes to men, you guys act like you care as far as like, if a guy cares and a guy expresses that he cares, I can believe that. When it comes to women, I just don't believe it because I don't see it. I don't see it. I see way more of all the other shit that I mentioned. And it's just really fucked up. And this is why it's fucked up, because we are human. You cannot control what you feel. We cannot get a software update that makes us stop feeling. I don't care who you talking about. I don't care what stoicism shit motherfuckers be talking about. What they're doing is suppressing the emotions that they have. I could go deeper, but the video is long enough. If you made it this far, you caught quite a bit. The only thing I was going to touch on outside of men have feelings and men should be able to express their feelings is, how did we get to a point where this is a standard to where a man can express himself, to where a man should be punished and things of that nature? I won't get deep on that because, the time of the video. The only thing I'll say, I'll make it quick, is we live in a harsh world. And we live in a world, we got to be honest, with some evil, destructive men. That is not the majority of men. But if you go and look at time, if you go and look at conquerors like Genghis Khan, Napoleon, and all these, Alexander the Great, just all these people, they set out on conquest to take over places and things of that nature and stuff like that. And when you have a world where everybody is being subjected to violence and tyranny and stuff like that, then, as far as being a man in those times, you had to really have some grit about you to stay alive. You really had to have some grit about you to stay alive. And even if you were a child, like a boy, and your dad got slain or whatever, and you see how the world is, and you see how that led to him being slain and stuff like that, you develop an understanding at a young age. You see that. You won't understand it until you're older, but that begins to shape how you view things. That begins to shape your worldview. And it was just much harsher times. And even then, in some countries, they still have that level of harshness. So as a guy, you have to not even like, you can't even feed into the fear. You can't even feed into, you know, the sadness too long or anything like that, because you have to help these people survive. You have to help your family and your kids survive. You have to keep their, because at the end of the day, if somebody busts through that door, you are the most capable. You just are. Out of everybody in your household, you're going to be the most capable. Out of everybody in the village, the men are going to be the most capable. That's just what it is. So I understand the necessity to a degree, but we live in a different world now. And I understand certain things within women are biological, but we got to keep it one of two ways. We got to either keep it all the way real. We got to keep it all the way real and stop the man we care about man shit. Or some things need to change. Some things need to, and I feel like honestly, some things need to change. I think there has to be healthier ways, and just even in relations and things like that, as far as man to man, like like bruh, like it shouldn't be as crazy as it is, man. The culture needs to have a little bit of a shift. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm out.